Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Code Philosophy. The term object oriented programming was first coined by Mr. Alan Kay in 1966 67. With the emergence of C, and in the mid of 90s, object oriented programming was the thing. And as a programmer, if you're not using it, you were considered to be behind the curve or not up to the mark. Since then, object oriented programming has ruled the programming world seamlessly. Even today, every aspiring software developer needs to have a very good understanding of object oriented concepts, as most of the popular programming languages like C++, Java, Python, C Sharp, etc., are based on object oriented concepts. So, in this video, we will talk about what were the challenges faced by the software industry before the invention of object oriented programming, or what triggered the concept of object oriented programming, or you can say what was the need of object oriented programming. So, let's get started. As somebody correctly mentioned, necessity is the mother of invention. So, the invention of object oriented programming was triggered by the necessity to change the approach of software development. Here are some of the challenges faced by the software industry which led this change to happen. The challenges are: first, software is a capital investment; second, the impedance mismatch; third, high expectations and complexity. And this complexity is derived from following four elements. First, complexity of the problem domain. Second, difficulty in team management. Third, need of adaptability and extensibility. And the fourth one, characterizing the behavior of a discrete system. Okay, wait a minute. Nothing understood, right? Don't worry. I'll explain them in detail. Let's start. So the first challenge is software is a capital investment. Now, what do we mean by that? In early days, softwares were mostly targeted towards interacting with hardwares. For example, operating systems, printers, fax machines, etc. Or maximum, the applications like calculators. Their purpose, use, and lifespan was very limited, and we were able to scrap them and create a new one whenever the purpose or requirement changes. But then came the era of industry strength softwares. What are the industry strength softwares? The softwares which are used by specific industries for automating their day-to-day activities. For example, banks, educational institutions like universities and colleges, government institutions like income tax department, etc. Now, these softwares exhibit a rich set of functionalities, a wide scope, and as they mimic the behaviors in the physical world, people's day-to-day life is heavily dependent on their proper functioning. Now, we cannot afford to scrap these softwares and recreate them whenever the requirement changes. Let's take some examples of today's time. Internet banking. Internet banking application perform day-to-day banking activities. The applications like IRCTC and Book My Show helps us to do day-to-day bookings and reservations. Even Indian stock markets works on software. Now, considering the time and cost required to create such softwares and their impact on our day-to-day life, do you think we can create them from scratch and replace them overnight? No, right? So this kind of a software is a capital investment for these institutions, and they will expect long-term returns out of them. So that's what the capital investment means. Now, the second concern is impedance mismatch. It refers to the misunderstanding or the communication gap between the end user and the developer. This happens because in most of the cases, users find it very difficult to give precise expression to their needs in the format the developer will understand. And it is also difficult for the developer to understand everything correctly, as they are not the expert of problem domain. Problem domain mean the industry for which software is being developed, like banking, insurance, etc. It is obvious that the developers do not possess much of the knowledge about these fields. So at the end, no matter how much you try, the end product will never fulfill all the expectations of the user in one go. That means the regular and timely maintenance is very much needed. Then the next concern is high expectations and complexity. Understand, softwares are generally developed for automating the complex or time consuming tasks. As the software industry evolved, expectations from the softwares went went on increasing because people wanted most of the things to be automated. Let's take up an example of high expectations. Internet banking was initially developed for money transfer only, but nowadays you can see many functionalities being added like recharges and bill payments, ATM pin generation or ATM pin change, credit card management, loan account management, and so on. This is because of increased expectations. Increased expectations will automatically make the development process more complicated. If we want to fulfill all such expectations in the software, then the complexity becomes an essential part of the software. We cannot avoid it. Apart from high expectations, there are four other important factors which also adds up to the complexity, and they are complexity of the problem domain, difficulty in team management, need of adaptability and extensibility, and characterizing the behavior of a discrete system. Now, before we talk about these one by one, please understand that the more complex the system, the more open it is for total breakdown. And as a developer, it is our responsibility to make sure that this breakdown does not occur. Now, let's try to understand why there is this complexity. The first reason which adds up to the complexity is the complexity of problem domain. As we already discussed, the developers are not the experts of problem domain. In some cases, the problem domains are extremely complicated. For example, think of IRCTC or any net banking application or Facebook or Amazon. Think of the complexity involved in developing such applications. Let's talk about IRCTC. Around 5 to 6 lakh tickets booked every day. More than 7,000 railway stations across India. Various boarding points and destination points and the timings to be managed. Various booking categories, preferences and discounts. Various payment modes, discount coupons and deals. It is very complicated. Even in case of internet banking, there are thousands of users. There are various activities impacting the system like ATM withdrawal, online payments, money transfers, bank deposits. All of these will have an impact on the system. Also, the various types of bank accounts and the different rules applied to them. Then the credit card management, loan account management, corporate accounts, corporate loans, and again, the rules applicable to all of these different services. Understand, it's very complicated. So now you might have understood why the perfect system cannot be developed in one go. Now the second factor which adds up to the complexity is the difficulty of team management. As the complexity is more, it won't be possible for an individual to develop a software entirely. We need multiple developers. That means we need a team working on the same project. And when it comes to team, communication and coordination among the team members is very important. And if the team is geographically dispersed, it is going to be very difficult to manage. Geographically dispersed mean working from different offices. For example, let's say out of 10 members of the team, 2 members are working from the head office, which is let's say in Bangalore. Other 4 are working from Pune branch and the other 2 are at the client location for few days. And remaining 2 are in Chennai office. Such a kind of team environment is very common and is a regular practice in IT industry. Now the third reason, softwares needs to be adaptable and extensible. The end user may modify the requirements during the development process or towards the end of the development process. Software should adapt to those changing requirements, and that is called as adaptability. Adaptability means enabling the changes at any stage of the development process. And the end user may come up with additional requirements or some changes in the functionalities after using the software for some time. The developer should be able to add or modify those without disturbing the existing system, and that is called as extensibility. Extensibility means enabling changes or addition of new functionalities after some use. Then the fourth element that adds up to the complexity is characterizing the behavior of a discrete system. It is developers' responsibility to make sure that the system always remain within the discrete finite possible states. Now, what do we mean by the discrete finite possible states? For an example, let's say in a real world, if a ball is thrown in the air, what happens? We know, as per some law of physics, the ball will fall back on the earth again, and it is gravitational force. Softwares are also based on the problem domain specific rules, and the system can have specific finite possible states. For an example, in banking system, the account balance should always be a positive value. It cannot be less than 0. So it is developers' responsibility to make sure that the system follows all the rules related to banking and make sure that the value of current balance never go below zero. We will talk about the state of an object in upcoming videos more. So that means ensuring that the system is always functioning within the discrete finite possible states is developer's responsibility. So as in conclusion of this video, we can say that the existing approaches of software development were inefficient in handling the above discussed challenges. So to better deal with these challenges, a new approach was needed, and this need has given a birth to object-oriented approach. Now in the next video, we will talk about software maintenance in detail. Then we will see, are there any more software development approaches available which were existing before object-oriented programming and how they differ from each other. Thank you so much for spending some of your valuable time on my video. I hope it was worth, helpful and knowledgeable for you. If you have liked the video, please press the like button, do share it with your friends, and for more such videos, do subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you will get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you.